ESPN's Jeff Saturday joins me here inside the TCO studios virtually. And Jeff, thank you for joining me. If anybody knows the offensive line position, it is you. Six-time Pro Bowler, two-time All-Pro, former Super Bowl champion. But when you draft a guy in Christian Darrisaw and you fast forward 10 years from now, you can only hope he has a similar resume as you. But that all starts in year one, right? And the Minnesota Vikings selected him with the 23rd overall pick. So I got to hear your thoughts on how he fits on this Minnesota Vikings team.
Yeah. Love the pick. I mean, when you looked at this year's class, there were with Penei and the whole way this thing shook out, I thought Darrisaw was right in the mix. I mean, you could arguably say, with he and Slater from a technique perspective, both those guys could be in that same class. So I love the pick. I think, to your point, where are you going to be in 10 years? You never know. My expectations for him will be multi-Pro Bowl, good player who's been the bedrock of this offensive line. They will have built around him. That's what you're hoping to get when you draft a guy where you drafted him. Mm-hmm. And I tell you, man, the attitude, the nastiness, and the perseverance he plays with, those qualities translate irrespective of what team you go to, right? Like it just, that's why you get drafted where you do, because they want you to bring that to the team. And I think where Minnesota is, they get a lot of criticism for offensive line play the past couple of years. But when you look at it, it's not for lack of trying, right? Mm-hmm. They're drafting guys high. They're trying to put guys in the system. And so you're hoping this is another bedrock piece that you're placing for this offensive line for the future.
For sure. Christian Darrisaw, let's move on down the draft. You got Kellen Mond with the second pick, the first pick in the third round, second overall pick for the Minnesota Vikings. Then the Tar Heel, Chad Surratt. But I want to talk about Wyatt Davis. All the experts are saying he is the value pick in the Minnesota Vikings draft class this year. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, two-time All-America. I mean, this kid has done it, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Ohio State, this kid has done exactly what you want him to do on the field. And this is where I feel like from drafting and where guys are, obviously from a guy who was undrafted, is real, right? Like when you see a guy who has been as productive as he's been at Ohio State, look at the track record of Ohio State offensive linemen that have come in the league, the interior especially, right? Recently, guards kind of get pushed to the wayside a little bit in the draft, unless they're a Quentin Nelson, right? For the Colts. All of a sudden, this guy's going to be, whatever he's going to be for he's going to be an all-pro his first year. But the reality is the interior portion of the pocket is the most vital, right? Like those three guys have to be in sync and have to work together. So when you get a guy like Wyatt coming in with the expectations that he has to help with Bradbury beside him, that's an important piece, right? That's an important piece to come push and understanding what that does for your football team. I don't care what anybody says, man, the attitude of your team comes from those first three guys that are closest to your quarterback. I love the pick there. And to your point, they say value. I say he's going to be a baller, and that's where it should be.
You talk about that interior line, right? Like you just said, the consistency that has never changed and probably will never change about the interior is just that dog mentality. But, the center guard position, how have you seen that position evolve since your playing days?
Oh, man. I mean, I think as I was moving through my career, I saw the value of the center increase tremendously, right? Like all of a sudden you started seeing guys and not only by pay, but by attention and what the requirements and expectations were at the position of center were just that they were being exposed and discussed for the first time about making offensive line calls, being able to reach the second level, being able to reach front side on the zone block, because everybody was kind of transitioning away from gap schemes to zone schemes, which meant the athleticism of the center had to be really, really good. And so as I watched it evolve and I'm seeing it continue to evolve, I love it, man. I mean, listen, we always talk about the tackle and the left tackle especially and blind sides and how important that is. The closest point in the NFL from a player to your quarterback is standing over the center. And if that guy can't get his job done and he can't get everybody working in concert, you're going to have problems. I don't care how good all the other four guys are. But when you get down to that interior three, that center, and being able to lock arms with those two guards and the consistency of those three, I'm telling you, man, teams are built on it. They're successful because of it. And I think it's one of those things for the Vikings that an emphasis needs to be placed on it.
So Ezra Cleveland, Garrett Bradbury, Brian O'Neill, those are three staples on this Minnesota Vikings team heading into 2021. How can they make another step in their career to make this entire team better?
Well, let's start with Bradbury, right? High pick a few years ago at the center position. We just talked about the importance of that position. I think for him in pass protection, it's got to get better. In the run game, I think he's a good player. He's got good athleticism. He can do things from the ground game that are going to be very important for that offense. But he has to take the next level and really work on his technique and fundamentals in pass protecting and individual pass protecting, right? When they go and cover the guard, center, and guard, and in the double eagle or in the bear front, and then being able to get, when guys turn and go from a stutter bull into kind of like a bull rush, being able to really anchor down and sit. I think with Cleveland, and if Davis can obviously break into, if Wyatt can break into the starting lineup, those three guys, it sounds crazy, but all three of those guys have to work together. There's, so often in the NFL, it's all based on games in the interior, right? You have the tackle and end have games. The two tackles inside or three, the nose and two that have so many games that you have to be able to pass things off and sit at the same level. And last year, there's just too many inconsistencies where a guard would be at one level, the center would be at one, the tackle at another. So as I look at that, I would say those would be the things that I would really hone in on and focus on, is being able to work together, those interior three, about being able to pass off, bringing Darrisaw into the fold. Hey, man, what kind of communication is required pre-snap? When we come to the line of scrimmage, what kind of calls are you going to hear? What kind of blitzes are we going to be calling out to make sure everyone's aware? And I think as you watch them grow together, which is what I'm probably most excited about, is all these guys are young, man, and they have time to develop. O'Neill, I think, has done, when he came into the league, you would have said he was kind of you weren't really sure, right? He's kind of played above, in my opinion, of where people probably expected him to. I think he stays on that side, continues to get better. And so I think you have the beginnings of what could be a really good offensive line. So the excitement is just, how do you work together? How much time do you spend together? And listen, I take it all the way back, and I make fun of everybody because they talk about how the rules are different now, and I was part of changing those rules. The rules for offensive linemen, man, we live together, we eat together, we hang together, right? Like, we train together. So you can find time to work and gel and build relationally with each other, and you've got to do that if you want to be successful. I think that's the starting point for all these guys, kind of as they're kind of birthing their careers together. Because I think the oldest is 3 years in. I mean, when you look, that's pretty young, and that's how I started when I was with the Colts. So definitely excited about the potential of the future.
For sure. You always hear the saying, offense wins games, defense wins championships. Speaking of this Minnesota Vikings defense, this offseason, they addressed that. I think they spent around $50 million to, bolster this D-line, the secondary position. But your thoughts on this entire, revamped defense that Mike Zimmer is trying to bring on for the 2021 season?
Yeah, man. Listen, this has been a thing for me. I think Zimmer, even playing against him for so many years as a defensive coordinator, this is one of the best who's done it. I mean, as from a coordinating perspective, he's as tough-minded and puts guys in the right position. I think execution is vital, and that's the part that's going to have to really show up. Or can they execute what he's trying to get accomplished? Do they understand? Is it clean? And again, I'm not sure where they are in the NFL ranking-wise, but they got to be in the middle or even probably lower. That's got to improve, right? When you're defensive-minded head coach and you have a run game like you have with Dalvin Cook and with Cousins and Jefferson, and you have enough offensively but you don't want to be chasing, especially with the Packers that you're rolling against, right? Like, and you have two teams really that should be just okay, right? In Detroit, when you think about Detroit and Chicago, this is a time to really make a splash. And so from a defensive perspective, you're hoping they really they really take a step up, but it has to be about execution. When you look at them last year, I mean, the way the team needs to be based is a strong defense and a run game that people fear. And with Dalvin Cook, you are afraid because every touch could be the touch, and physicality of which he runs with. That's the kind of stuff that you're looking for to complement a defense that Zimmer normally has. So again, kind of like the offensive line, is they got to pull this thing together and gel this thing together because the pieces and parts are there. It's about executing.
Absolutely. Jeff Saturday, we need to get you in the Hall of Fame, but thank you again for your time today. So appreciate it. I'm sure Minnesota Vikings fans are excited to see what this Minnesota Vikings team is going to look like in 2021.